The session or the practice will always begin with the blue team in the middle, and the blues can decide between them who starts the game. One of the blues will pass the ball into the yellow player, and once that happens, one of those players will go into that zone to join. I'm Vicky Fisher, Regional Coach Development Officer for the South West. And today's session, we're looking at intercept to score, focusing on intercepting. We want our players to be comfortable and confident to intercept the ball because we want our players to stay on the ball. We want them to regain possession, have the opportunity to start their own attacks. This session is going to work with 8 players, but we'll talk through how you might change that with your number of players. We're going to run it so it's a parallel practice, so one group will work on one pitch and the remaining players will be working on the other, but we'll just set up one pitch so that you can see. So we're just going to pop in a target zone, which will be in the middle, and then a target zone, which will be at either end. So we'll use 2 players who will be on the blue team and 2 players who will be on the yellow team, and that will be exactly the same on our next pitch so that every player is always involved in playing. We'll have a supply of footballs just at the side of the pitch, and that will make sure that the practice will keep flowing and the players will get lots of opportunities to practice. So it's a session based on intercepting, and both teams will get the opportunity to attack and defend and regain the ball. The session or the practice will always begin with the blue team in the middle, and the blues can decide between them who starts the game. One of the blues will pass the ball into the yellow player, and once that happens, one of those players will go into that zone to join. The aim of the game is for the yellow player to transfer the ball to their teammate in the opposite for them to hit the target zone. The idea for the blues is to intercept the ball, and again, once they regain possession, for them to get into their target zone. Once the practice ends, then the play resets until the footballs are used and the teams will reset. So if the blue comes in and tackles the player and scores, it will be worth a point. If they set up again and the blue passes it to the yellow and the middle player intercepts the ball in between, if they then score, it's worth 2 points as the goal has come from an interception. So the point system focuses on them having the opportunity to intercept the ball to try to score. The game can be played in multiple ways depending on what equipment you have, what space you have to work in. It might be that you set up so you have end zones where they run in and stop the ball. It might be if you have the facilities, you might be able to pop goals in on the end. So instead of having the target zone, it might be actually if that ball is there and we intercept it, actually then our next job is to look to score a goal. So it's flexible depending on the facilities that you have available. The play will always start in the middle of the blues, and what we were looking for is for them to take ownership of the practice, so between them making that decision of who starts the practice. Obviously that involves a pass, so they'll have the opportunity to practice the technique of the pass, but I guess in terms of the 6 capabilities and intercepting, we're really looking for our blue players to be scanning all the time, to seeing what's around them, to predict where that ball might go next, and based on that scan then will affect what position that player takes up. So actually, is their body in line with that player? Are they aware? Are they then in a position where they can regain the ball? So it might be that they regain and then they look to stay on it to score. I guess it's really important that we focus on our timing because if we were to move too early, then it will allow that ball the opportunity to be played through. And that's a massive reason why the players start in that zone to begin with in terms of the session design and practice to allow those opportunities to come out. In terms of like using the step principle, there's a number of ways that you can change the game to make it easier or harder. We've mentioned around changing the point scoring system to allow the outcomes that we want in terms of intercepting rather than tackling. Depending on our player numbers, we can look to change our overloads. So this session was based on 8 players, but actually it might be that if we've got a goalkeeper in our squad, it might be that actually one of the teams has an overload in terms of the goalkeeper in, which would then change the practice. In terms of making it easier, we can change the starting position. So it's really important that when the blue starts the game, that yellow player has the opportunity to play the ball to allow that opportunity to intercept. So we might change the starting positions in terms of the distance.